I don't know about you guys, but occasionally in life, you encounter a situation where maybe people don't believe in you as much as they should. Maybe you don't even believe in you. Maybe you're sitting in a crowd and a comment keeps coming up. Man, I'm not going to invite Brad up here to jump from one thing to another. And I kind of wish I had listened to that, but that's not the point. How many of you have encountered a moment in your life where somebody around you just didn't believe in what you could do, believe in you? Anybody experience that? Okay, watch this. Hold on, I just got the hold on.
Guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I like that. So I get back in my car, I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden, it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious. You know, they thought they had everything all figured out, so they judged everything, and they judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. Because if they were curious, they would ask questions. You know? Questions like, have you played a lot of darts, Ted? Which I would have answered, yes, sir. Every Sunday afternoon at a sports bar with my father from age 10 until I was 16 when he passed away. Barbecue sauce.
Be curious, not judgmental. Anytime we face something, any type of adversity, we tend to lose that sense of curiosity, and we maybe even tend to get a little judgmental. Not so much of other people, but oftentimes we get judgmental of ourselves. Let me tell you guys something. Whether you know it or not, in this business, I don't care what your production was or what it will be, you guys are the best in the business. You truly, truly are. And we are very, very thankful for you. So, be curious. As Ty said, don't limit yourself, right? Be curious. Reach outside of your comfort zone and stretch yourself to do things that you never thought you could do. With that being said, I would like to bring up to the stage Big Al, my pal, to tell us a little bit about our future and what the market might look like. I'm curious.
Sorry, the closing just closed and funded. I had to let a seller know. Thank you. All right, so we're going to talk a lot of data really quickly, you guys. So our industry has been basically slapped in the face, punched in the gut, kicked in the groin. The rules have changed. Ty did a great job of adapting some of our terminology as to what's going on. One of the things that I would ask you to adapt to is if you can become an expert in the numbers, you become much more of an expert. If you know some of the data and somebody asks you a question about real estate, it's really nice for you to be able to say, you know what? Here's the actual thing that's going on. We're going to cover a couple of things today, guys, and we'll do it quickly, so take a couple of notes. But last year, we brought in Dr. Lisa Sturdivant. She's a PhD. She's the chief economist for Bright MLS in the Northeast. Bright covers 13 states. Can you imagine being in 13 states with one MLS? That's kind of a cool concept. I like it. I would love it if we just had one MLS in our state. That would be really cool. Here's the deal. Lisa was super popular with you guys. I talked to Lisa a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, I wasn't at RIS Media this year. I'm pretty sure you did a presentation. Any chance we can get a national outlook of what you're seeing economically? So we're going to share some of those with you right now. The theme of this one is how weird is this economy? So we'll talk really quickly on what is going on right now. Strongest economic recovery in history. However, there's always a caveat. Yes, we lost a bunch of jobs during COVID, and then a bunch of them recovered and came back to their jobs, mostly without masks. And then all of a sudden, we get these numbers every month saying, hey, so many jobs, so many jobs. And then all of a sudden, they revised by 818,000. So maybe the job growth wasn't quite as much. We are watching employment. That's probably the last piece of our national economy that affected whether or not the feds would reduce our federal interest rates. Because unemployment started to show weakness, that's why we got 0.5% instead of 1/4. And so that is the big deal right now. The resilience in our economy has been that the job market has actually stayed pretty solid. But we had some revisions here. That's a big one. You don't ever see revised government statistics go down by 800,000. That's huge. Somebody was not doing their math. There is a vibe session out there. So one side says, hey, guess what? The economy's killing it. Statistically, you look at the metrics and yeah, there's a lot of really strong things about our economy. However, you talk to people and say, how's your economy at your house? And if you had just filled up your gas tank or been to the grocery store or ate at a restaurant, you go, it doesn't feel very good because stuff costs a lot more. So the vibe session is basically, despite a fairly strong economy, we as consumers are not feeling that. If you want to know why buyers hit pause in May, that's why. Affordability. And it's the economic piece. Inflation was the one reason people were feeling stressed. Prices since 2019 are up 22%. I don't know about you, but there's times I leave the grocery store, it feels like they're up 82%. It's just insane. I paid $9.99 for a 12-pack of soda last week. I'm like, did anything go up more than that? I mean, those were like $3.99 in my mind. At least that's where they were. So inflation has definitely had an effect. We're starting to feel that. Housing is the outsized contributor to the CPI. Consumer Price Index. One of the reasons for inflation is our housing costs have been really high. Prices are high, rents are high, interest rates have been high. That's affected that in a pretty big way. Well, we're not going to spend a ton of time on these graphs. I just want to give you the general message. The Fed kept interest rates unchanged for more than a year, and the rate cut, most everybody felt like they were going to get 1/4%. After that jobs report got revised, that got us to 0.5%. What was the downside of the 0.5%? Federal funds rate going down. What was the opposite effect that we knew was probably going to happen? Our rates went up. Doggone it. And that's because of a little bit of panic on Wall Street. Here we go. Mortgage rates made history in 2021 and 22. The gap between mortgage rates and 10-year Treasury yields. Those of us in the mortgage world understand 10-year Treasury yields. That is the long bond. That's where our mortgage rates come from. Generally speaking, the gap between our mortgage rate and the 10-year Treasury yield has averaged for 20 years less than 2%, 1.78. Over the last couple of years, it's been closer to 3. That gap has made a huge difference in why our interest rates went up so much. This one hurts, you guys. To be honest, I don't know how we ever recover from this. Our federal debt is so high. I don't know what the answer, we're at $35 trillion that we owe people around the world. I don't even know how to do the math. So I'm not sure how that ever fixes itself, or if it fixes itself. I'm not sure what the cure is for that. All I know is it's going to affect us at some point in time in our lives. I'm not quite sure. But they were telling us that in 1985 too. But it wasn't that kind of a number. All right, how weird is the housing market? Is it weird in your neighborhood? Yeah, it's so weird. This is probably our biggest challenge right now. Home sales transactions are at historic lows. I'm going to show you my top 10 predictions that I gave you in January. We've actually done really well, but there's one I missed by a long shot. I thought we were going to see a pretty nice recovery in numbers of homes sold this year, and it did not happen. It has not. We're almost exactly the same as 23. But numbers of homes sold is really down. And that's why we're feeling the pinch of a weird market. Numbers of units have absolutely slowed down. Our inventory has gone up. So we'll look at what the inventory is doing here. Home prices have risen faster than at any time in history. Now, generally speaking, you see a graph that does that, and it generally does that. So what happens with home prices is we saw the big run up during COVID, and now we've seen that piece starting to happen, but basically we're leveling off. Year after year after year. Our Great Recession really affected us 2008 to 11, and then in 2012, 13, literally we went up double-digit appreciation for 10 years straight. I've never seen that. I don't know that we've ever had that. A couple of years we had 20% appreciation. So you had to say, that seems unsustainable. I don't know that we can keep having prices go up that much. And if you look at what folks, if you look at this graph, they really haven't done that over time. Month supply of inventory. So this one, as you can see, clear back to 1983, we basically have been a lot in a buyer's market. A little bit of balance in there, fallen into a seller's market, and now, well, we fell into seller's market for 5 years. We're now heading on a nice trajectory outside of that seller's market, and this is nationally. I would submit to you, in the Denver market, we're already in a balanced market. We don't need 6 months of inventory to be balanced. If we're 2 to 3 months of inventory, which we are, currently we're in a balanced market. I don't know about you guys, but it's feeling a lot more like a buyer's market when I get offers on my listings. It is definitely some negotiating going on right now. Okay. Exactly. Thank you. We'll talk after. Yeah. Our housing affordability index, as you can see, these numbers, the higher affordability right after the Great Recession was when we had low interest rates, we had good demand going on, and prices were unbelievably reasonable based on today's standards. High scores. We were up. We exceeded 200. Right now, we are below 100 on the affordability index. So that is why buyers have hit pause. Monthly rents finally starting to level out. Every year, I'm like, how can rents be this high? It's insane. When I hear Ty mention he paid $600 a month for rent, and I'm like, that's a closet right now. I mean, it's insane. What our rents are doing, they are finally leveling out now, and the only reason they're leveling out is supply and demand. They built a bunch of apartments. They've been being built for 2 or 3 years. They've all kind of hit the market in the last 12 months, and rents are finally starting to mellow out. Monthly payments, obviously, the down payment required and monthly payments. Forever, we've been an economy that can handle high prices and low interest rates. So high here, low here. Or high interest rates and low prices that we saw during a few of our recessions. We have never seen a market where we have high prices and high interest rates. And that's the battle that we're having right now. But look what it's done to down payments. Average down payment, $64,000, or income needed, $64,000 and basically $130 now, which just puts more pressure on everybody, every household, to make sure that there's 2 and 3 incomes going on to be able to afford a house. Mortgage holders that do not want to trade out of their super low rate, that's a really goofy graph. I'm not going to explain that one, but I will tell you, we are finally getting to the point where we've got fewer and fewer sellers who are so locked into their rate that they won't make a change. We're finally seeing that this year, and that was one of our predictions, is that sellers will finally say, you know what, I got a 2.75, but I really do need to move. I'll deal with 5.5 or 5.75 or whatever rates are. We're finally seeing that move start to happen. Inventory is increasing, and boy, did it increase in Denver. Any guesses? I just got our September numbers yesterday. Yeah, just over 11,000. What were we just a few months ago? 5. So our inventory's definitely gone up. Nationally, it's done the same. We won't worry about Philadelphia. It's going to be weird for a while. We're going to have some weirdness in the market. I think nationally, I don't know that I've ever seen where, because real estate is local, it's regional, I don't know that we've ever seen, other than the last 5 years, how virtually every market in the United States has been experiencing almost the exact same thing. Low inventory, high demand, and it's been across the entire country. It is starting to become more regional now. You're starting to see markets that are like, hey, we're in the tank, and then other markets, Denver is pretty resilient. And so we've been able to say, hey, we're doing fairly well, not as well as we would like to be doing, but we'll start seeing that happen. Arguably, there's never been a more challenging housing market to be a home buyer. Again, affordability, economics, uncertainty, and then our lovely NAR settlement. Speaking of slaps in the face, punches in the gut, and kicks to the groin, that's what we've been through. Home buyers were not responding to lower rates, but they are now. This was in September. We've now had a % rate cut. One of the things we predicted is that we would see 5% this year, that the first number would be a 5, and it's happening. And home buyers seem to be responding to that, so that's good news. Have you had any buyers say, yeah, I want to buy a home, and then you get about a month into it and they say, you know what, I think we're going to hold off. We're going to hit pause. We had a bunch in May, and they kind of stayed all through the summer. Here's some of our reasons. Prices are too high, we can't afford it. Mortgage rates are too high, can't afford it. Frustrated, unsuccessful competing offers with cash. Not as much cash right now, but it's still out there. Couldn't find the right home, need to save more money for down payment, uncertain about the market. I talked to one client one day and he says, this market will have the biggest crash we've ever seen in United States history. And the next buyer says, I can't wait to get in right now because I know prices are going to keep going up. So it's like, I don't even know what to tell you because I don't really know. I don't think that the first one is going to happen, but who knows? Deciding to rent was a better option. Anybody had any clients that said, hey, you know what, I think we're going to rent instead of buy? All of a sudden, we're now in the United States of America. Affordability has caused that rent actually makes sense for a lot of people. And they're just saying, I can't do the buy thing. I don't have the income or I don't have the down payment. I'm going to need to rent, which is really sad because that's hard for me to even come out of my mouth is please buy a house. Please, please, please start your wealth. Other financial issues, waiting to sell a current home, family or health issue, timing, holidays. We're going to get some of that in the next 3 months. Yeah, let's wait. Sellers are going to say, let's take it off the market. We'll come back in February. Yes. Uncertain about the NAR settlement. Again, that's the lowest of all of the concerns that consumers have. The NAR settlement for consumers, mostly behind us. They've already asked us all the questions. Now, they will ask a few more in a listing appointment, but for the most part, the consumer, that's a very low item. Canceled listings. There are a bunch. That was bright. We have a fair amount here. And then the rate lock effect, which I think is getting less and less. They are predicting nationally Hispanics are going to really turn on the gas in homeownership. And I agree. In the next 10 years, they will lead our first-time home buyers. So we will see that group really engage. They're hard workers, they make money, they're good savers, and they want to get into a home. And we will see the Hispanic group really shine here in the next 10 years. Download your apps, start working on your Spanish. Right, Moises? Yeah. And then what to watch for in the second half here as we go into 2025. Basically, consumer confidence. That's a big key for us right now. We lost a bunch of consumer confidence on the buy side in May. Since Labor Day, the phone's been starting to ring again. And I'm surprised how many sellers have been on the other line. Not just buyers, a lot of sellers are engaging. I've talked to many of you and you're like, I've never had this many listings in my career. Or I've never had this many active listings in my career that aren't getting showings. So that's happening right now as well. Affordability challenges, again, high prices, high interest rates. Here's the good news. We can tell buyers every day, guess what guys, prices are leveling out. There are great deals to be had. We're closing on stuff right now that I, to be honest, very surprised that we would sell that house for that little. So that is happening right now. So buyers have opportunities. Inventory, plenty to look at. 11,000, almost 200 homes on the market right now in the Denver market. We have plenty to look at, no question. Our local conditions, luckily, we're in a pretty good business climate in Denver. So I think our local conditions are going to be pretty good for a while, and then life happens versus rate lock. Our demographics are showing that we've got a lot of sellers who are willing to move even though they've got a really low interest rate. Why is that happening? It's because life is happening. Stuff is happening. They're either married, divorced, having a baby, somebody passed away, just too much of a house, too little of a house. There's a lot of things that are happening in life. The best way for us to know what's happening in their life is to do what? Be in the flow. Call them. Be a part of their life. You probably know that they need to move before they do. Only if we're in the flow. If we are taking the time to be a part of their conversation and that relationship. And then we can really help them in that life happens versus rate lock. Last but not least, let's go on to my next one here. Amber, thank you. Okay, so let's go a little more micro and macro and get into Denver and look at what happened. And these are the latest numbers. This is through the third quarter. We just got all the data yesterday, and we'll take a look at what's happening in the market, in the Denver market. Active listings, 11,115. New listings, 5,000. Pending, 3,761. And closed, 3,092. Just so you guys know, 3,092 closings in September in Denver is pathetic. That's a really low number. We normally sell solidly 4,000 to 5,000, maybe 6,000 homes in September. So really low from that standpoint. Snapshot here, median price, average sold price, $672. Now that's residential, so that's attached single family, that's everything, condo, townhome, and single family. $672 in Denver, and the market volume was $2 billion in September. Average active listings at month end, 7646 in the detached. Average price, right at $750 for our detached homes, single family homes. Somebody says, what's the average price in Denver now? You can tell them, $749, $560. And if you aren't OCD, you can just say $750. That works. Our attached, month end, 34, almost 3,500. Average closed price on a condo townhome is $445,000. Now that number still surprises me because what's happened to affordability in our condos and townhomes? Our HOAs. What used to be $200 for HOA is now $600. So, and you get nothing, and they are slower. And well, what you get is a $600 HOA and the threat of a special assessment to rebuild some of their reserves. So I'm still surprised that that is that high. Closed detached 2,300, average 749, and basically closed detached. We'll move on. Let's look at year to date. Active listings 11,000. Look at it where they were a year ago. 7,269. We're up 46%. New listings 5,000. Last year we had 4,600. So that's our sellers kind of starting to re-engage a little bit. Up 9. Closed 3,091. We closed 3,400 last year. Just last month we closed 3,800. So down 19 and 9%. Closed average price 672. All right, year-to-date numbers. 45,556 new listings this year. Last year we were at 41,000. So sellers have engaged. They've started to pick up the phone and life is happening. We're up almost 13% on listings. When I say we, this is the market. Closed 32,213. Are we ahead or behind of last year? We are behind last year, and last year sucked. We're behind on closed transactions from last year. And nobody thought we would be lower than 2023. We're down 3% from last year. The market, days in MLS, keeps climbing, 35 days on average. Closed price on average for year to date, 701. And this is the number we're looking at right here. That's the number we would look at the annual one. Even with all of the weirdness in the market, average price on residential homes is up 2.7%. We're up 2.7%. So when you get that client that says, oh no, the market's, it's gotta be down 20%. I'm gonna make a low offer. I wanna offer 100,000 less. And you can say, well, you know, guess what? Prices are actually still up almost 3%. All right. Year to date, detached. Closed average price, year to date, $782 on our detached. Single family homes. Up 1.7%. On our attached, year to date, average price $463. Look at that, it's down 1.2%. So the condos and townhomes are still struggling. All right, so our graphs here, active listings, you can see we don't normally see that steep of an increase starting to happen this time of year. This is the time where it levels out or starts to peak and really come back down. We're growing. We're listing properties right now, which is great news because I don't know about you, I've got some that are going to expire in the next 30 days. So I want to make sure I've got some inventory going on because they're not selling and it's really irritating. And the seller still thinks it's the pandemic. They still think that's where the price should be. Driving me crazy. Buyers think it's the Great Recession. I don't understand. New listings. Basically, our average price we talked about, average closed price, and then average days in the MLS, and you can see that's going up. All right, this one we've watched pretty closely, you guys. Over the last several years, during the pandemic, the green line is our active listings. The yellow line is our closed sales. For about 2.5, 3 years, we closed more properties than we had active on the market. That was not a healthy market. That was 100% seller market, and it was not healthy. You show a house, man, if you even took a minute to go get a hamburger before you thought about writing, it was gone. That was not healthy. Now you can actually go home and sleep. Think about it, pray about it. Talk in the morning. Look what's happened here. It's definitely, this number, I'm a little concerned about the steepness of that line. But our active listings are going up over 11,000, and obviously our numbers of closings is not as healthy as I'd like it to be. I would love to see that number around 12,000 of active listings, and I'd love to see us closing 5,000 to 6,000 per month. That's where the Denver market should be. We're not quite there yet, but we will be. All right, let me just show you 500 to 750. I want to show you the luxury market real quick because of time. All right, closed transactions. If I showed you those other price ranges, you would see that we've closed less in the 750 to, or the 500 to 750 and 750 to 999. In the 750 to 999, we've closed 408, still down 10, almost 11%. But look what's happened in the luxury market here, guys. Past this, million or more detached, closed, 342 of single family, down only 2.8%. Price, sold price versus listed, only down 98.3, and the volume. Days on the market up a little bit higher. Closed so far this year, 3797, over a million. Last year, 3314. That's the only category where we've sold more homes this year than we did last year. Many of you can attest to that. If you've had I have a listing right now at 2.3 million. We get more showings on that house, 2.3 in the suburbs, than I'm getting in my $750,000 and $800,000 listings. I don't understand. Apparently, income, more cash, not worried about what the market's doing, I don't know, but they all seem like still really picky buyers, but at least they're looking. This is an interesting number for me because I don't know how long that's going to last, but so far, luxury has been really resilient. We're going to ask you guys about that in a minute. Okay, so this is where you guys are going to participate real quickly. Here's the deal. Top 10 predictions that we gave you in January. So far, inflation will continue to slow down and put less pressure on interest rates. Yes? Yes. Check. Federal Reserve will lower interest rates 2 to 5 times in 2024. You think that's still going to happen? 100% it's going to happen. They've reduced it once. They will reduce twice more this year. Mark my words. We'll be 2 to 3. Hey, as long as we're within 2 to 5, I'm good, right? Yeah, check. I'm talking about federal fund rate. Yes. It's gone down once. It will go down 2 more times this year. Mortgage rates will vary from the low to high sixes with a chance of dipping into the 5%. Do you guys have any idea how many of you laughed me off this stage when I said that? A bunch, including my partners. We just closed a loan at 5.45%. We just closed conventional. We just closed a super jumbo, we're closing Monday on a super jumbo, 5 7/8 with our mortgage company. And everybody else was like 6.5. Unbelievable. Great job. Thank you, Marcy. Buyers will return to the market, especially first-time buyers with reasonable ability to negotiate well on price and terms. The average residential prices will adjust plus or minus 1.3. I gave myself a lot of room there, plus or minus. What was that number? Year to date, 2.74. We're up. We're probably going to fall in that range still. Sellers will finally return to the market as pent-up demand and basic housing needs will motivate them to sell regardless of interest rates. That is happening as we speak. Sellers are re-engaging. Thank heaven. All right, number 6. The market will see a 20% increase in the numbers of homes sold. Will sell 50,000 this year. That's a huge fail, guys. I thought we would see much more activity on that end. You saw the numbers. We're barely 30, we're not even 33,000 year to date. We will not hit 50, unfortunately. But that's this year. Wait till next year. Builders will increase inventory in 24. They figured out how to sell homes with the right incentives and interest rates. I've seen builders offering 4.5%, 30 or fixed. So they have figured that out. Builders increased their inventory not because they wanted to, because buyers hit pause. That's why they have more inventory. And there are some great deals on new builds right now. And they are paying, I don't know of any builder right now that won't give you 2.5% to 3%. They're all doing it. Yes. Toll Brothers. I just heard somebody close a Lennar and got 3. Yeah, they just asked. They just had to ask. Strong negotiation. The employment labor markets will tighten as many businesses will become more frugal and downsize their staff and space. I don't go one day without reading an article of another business closing their doors. It's happening all around us. This is the worst year for pain felt for businesses. They've held on as long as they could, and a lot of them just can't make it anymore. That is happening as we speak. That's about to turn. The realtor community will continue to shrink and adjust to new improved value propositions, and they will get much better at Ninja Warrior routines. I'm just kidding. That guy right there. Good job. We are shrinking, you guys. The industry's shrinking. The number of people deciding to be realtors is shrinking, but a lot of them have just left the business. There's a bunch who have inactivated. So it is happening. Who's the beneficiary of that? Absolutely, you guys are the professionals. And then last but not least, it is an election year. They somehow try and make it feel like it's better than it is. And both sides tell us all kinds of things to make us think that. Just know this, you get to create that market. They can say whatever they want, but you get to create your market in your space. So here's our question of the day. We're not giving you top 10 predictions for 2025. You have to wait till January. What do you guys believe is going to happen in 2025? It's going to be a good year. Define good. The number of sales or volume? Sales go up. Okay, good. We'll take that. 1 to 2% is not enough for me. I want to see 10, 15% increase in numbers of homes sold. Now, just so you guys know, I mean, we're at 32,000 units. You guys have sold about 3,600 homes this year. You continue to be 465 of us hold 11.5% of the marketplace. Guys, that is unbelievable. That's huge. Huge, huge, huge. And I will also tell you, you are absolutely on track to do another $3 billion in sales volume, which is just huge. When we're around the country and people will say, well, how much business did your company do? We're like, 3.whatever billion. They're just like, really? Wow. We're like, you need to meet our agents. They're amazing. They're amazing. What else do you guys believe for 2025? Good, go up a little bit. What do you think? What's going to happen? George? 100%. Buyers and sellers will still need our services, and I agree with that 100%. And how are we going to make sure that they know that they need our services? We're going to do our coursework. We're going to adapt. We're going to figure out how to go from there to there, not in 24 seconds, in 2 seconds. We're going to be much better at what we do. We're going to have to. We don't have a choice. How many of you wanted to see Brad do a backflip at the end of that? Stick around. By the way, Landon, good job. Holding on, man. I was praying back there for you. Oh, that was awesome. What else, you guys? What else is going to happen? What do you believe? Kelly. Good. Buyers and sellers are going to get back to what the expectations are, new expectations, basically. Benny. Okay. Did you just call the bottom feeders the bass in our industry? Is that what you just said? Yeah. They're going to leave. And I think they will. They'll continue to, which means we have to be the cream. Not everybody can rise to the top. I loved what Ty told us about abundance. And I've seen that. I've watched American Ninja Warrior, and I see these guys, they run the course, they fall somewhere way before they thought they were going to, and what does that guy do? He is on the sidelines cheering the next guy on. They support each other unbelievably. We can do the same thing. If you guys will come to business planning, if you'll come to some of these masterminds, we can be that abundant lifestyle and support each other. Because there's ideas that come, every time I go to one of those, I walk out with a new idea going, that's a great idea, I've never thought of that. I'm gonna start doing that. So that abundance, we should be participating in as an industry. We should work to make sure that we can do the course. We can beat the course, we can beat this market. Stephanie. Yes. Right. Yes. Talking about buy downs.
What Stephanie said is she believes buy downs will still be a great strategy coming in the next year. So that was the gist of it. Yep. What else?
What else? I saw a hand. Where else did I see a hand back here?
Nobody.
Okay.
Now I got the mic.
All right.
Who wants to talk?
Any other?
The sales were cash sales, if I'm reading that right? That's, well, is that indicative of the year though, and are we still seeing a lot of institutional buyers, and is that sort of skewing the numbers?
Investor sales are down substantially, you guys. We got as high as 40-50% of those cash and investor and institutional. It was about 29%. So it's come down substantially. And yeah, it's very good. We need every average home buyer and seller just participating in this market. That's where it's the most healthy, for sure. Dwight. Okay, now that he's finished, give him the mic.
I learned my lesson. I never did.
Dwight. All right, repeat what he said.
I just think that there's been a lot of distractions and instability that have affected people's mindset, both buyers and sellers, regardless of whichever political affiliation there is, and world uncertainty is way bigger than our market, and that I think that's going to stabilize this coming year, and people will be more comfortable making decisions whether they're buying or selling.
Thank you.
You know who I think's been affected more than anybody? Realtors.
Yes.
Our mindset has not been very good. Don't know.
Realtors, yes, it will.
We are for now.
Yeah. Here's one stat so that you guys know where you stand. We saw a market now, volume, numbers of transactions down. In some cases, down 10%. You guys are up 1% in numbers of homes sold this year. You're beating the market substantially, but your volume is up 10%. So as the market's volume is down about 3%, you guys are up 10. That's huge. Let me tell you the caution that I see in our numbers, the red flag. Our listings year to date are down 9%. If there's a place you want to focus in your business plan is let's get out and be listing monsters again. Let's get these homes on the market. Let's be listers. We should be up on listings. I don't know about you, but if there's anything that's changed in the NAR settlement, I am getting way more phone calls from buyers on my own listings. I want to have a lot of listings right now because the buyers are calling us directly. And sometimes they just want to talk to the lister. Most of the time, they just want to save money. But they're calling. It's almost like the 80s and 90s again. We're getting sign calls. But listings are down 9% for us as a company. That's really unusual for us. That's a red flag. So definitely have that part of your business plan. I want to increase my listings by this much. That's what you want to make sure is in your 2025 listing. Even those of us who are like, whoa, I got 12, 15 listings right now. I haven't had that for a long time. It's okay. It's all right. Most of those will sell. You just have to work with these sellers, get them listed and marketed properly. All right, what else? That's your 2024 market update, year to date, little overview of national, little overview of local. Is that helpful, you guys? Is this some data that you can help, that will help you a little bit? Let's go next.